And welcome to the Andrey Bustamante Real Estate Show, brought to you by GuaranteedSale.com. During the show today, why not get out your smart device, either your phone or your tablet, your desktop, whatever you're using to get on the internet, and go to GuaranteedSale.com. You're going to get comprehensive information about the value of either the home you're trying to sell or the home that you're looking to buy. GuaranteedSale.com, and you'll get information about what Andrey Bustamante does to help you, whether you're buying or selling. There's the Guaranteed Sale program. There's a lot of cool things that he does. There is absolute phenomenal video presentations that they do that is beyond anything that you've seen before in the marketing of your home. And that's what it's all about. You're selling a product, folks. You're not selling the place where your children grew up. You're not selling the place that grandma came and celebrated her 100th birthday. You're selling an asset. You're selling a home. It's a business decision. And the buyer is going to be looking for the best buy, and you're looking for the best buck. It's as simple as that. Get it done. It takes more than a sign in your front yard and the MLS. I mean, it takes a lot more than that. Okay? Because look at this. Go up and down the roads. Look at all the new homes popping out of the ground. You're competing with the big home builders right now. You're competing with the big professional companies that have all the big promotion on their side, the billboards, all the stuff. You need somebody like Andrey Bustamante to help you, and it's AndreyBustamante.com, AndreyBustamante.com. He's the one you hear Sean Hannity talking about right here on this very station. You can reach him during the week at 888-785-0440, 888-785-0440. Now, how about the show today? There are so many things that go into the buying or the selling of a home. It's a lot more than just getting the mortgage, meeting the realtor, driving around town, getting on the internet, and finding that home. Oh, there's so much more to it. What are you buying? Are you buying a pig and a poke? Are you buying a home that may have a history? Are you buying a home that the interstate might be coming through in the next several weeks? Are you buying a home where there's going to be a Walmart behind you by about a block, a new school? These are things where you need a team of professionals to help you. Okay, it goes beyond the driving around in the SUV with the realtor. Andrey puts together such a team. Now today, Andrey's out working. He's out helping people get their homes. So we have brought in part of Andrey's team. Behind the scenes, we've got his professional photographers that are working right now, that are working on the website. But also we have a familiar face to this show, and that is Paul McGrone of PJM Inspections. Lou Cortez is here from Safeguard Environmental, and we also have Mr. Tiosi?
Yes.
Oh, let's get real close to that mic. Bring that thing right out to you, man. You got to talk within 2 inches of that thing, Mike.
Yes, Mike Troisi. I'm one of Paul's many business associates in the home inspection industry.
All right. So Mike is here, and he is from GGG Inspections. And you guys hold those microphones right out to you for the entire show. And that way, we are taking calls right now. If you have questions about home inspections, what these guys look for, who they serve, who pays their fees, all that sort of thing, things to look out for in Florida. A lot more than just termites and hurricanes and stuff like that. 855-297-9696, 855-297-9696, or 21232-21232. Paul, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing fine. Tell us about your company, and then we're going to let the other guys chime in and tell the listeners a little bit about what they do, why they do it, and why that's of interest to the home seller or the home buyer.
Well, our company was started in 2004. We've been doing this for quite some time. And somewhere about year 3, 4, or 5, we started to assemble a team of people to work with because there are so many different needs that are part of the home inspection process. So we assembled that team. We've got some of the best people that are part of our team that do this. And what we do is we really look out for the home buyer, the home seller, or anybody that hires us. A lot of the things that you mentioned in the first couple of statements you made are really important ones about what the history of the house, what's in the house, so maybe what do you need to do about the house to be able to bring it up to compete with the builders and so on and so forth. Another thing that we're really cautious about is educating people and trying to get them to understand how important it is to have an inspection. While we were standing out in that hallway, Rob, Lou and I and Mike were talking about several occasions over the last few weeks alone where we've heard that phrase, I don't really need to get an inspection, or I don't really need to have a termite inspection done, or I don't see any mold, so there must not be any. These type of things, they happen all too often. And what happens is, in the case with Lou, he got a call 3 weeks after Mike did that home inspection. And it ended up, how much was it $3,500, Lou? What was the cost of the termite stuff?
It's going to run about $4,000.
Oh,
about $4,000 in damage. Now, Mike was adamant about, he was on top of it. He said, you really need to get Lou Cortez here. And the guy said, I'll take my chances. He said, no, he didn't say I'll take my chance. He said, I'll take that gamble. That's what
okay.
he said.
Are those, Lou, grab that microphone a minute. Are those famous last words before you have to either let a sale fall through or run to the bank and find an extra $4,000 someplace, or see your brother-in-law who you really don't like?
I think so, Rob. And I think what happens is people don't see, this is like the termites and wood-destroying organisms are like little cancers that build up, and you only see the symptoms. And unfortunately, this gentleman called me at a time when he was extremely, he was very fearful for his home because he was experiencing a swarm while he called me and asked me if I can get out there as quickly as I could. He was pretty desperate. And as I went through the inspection, I found everything possible that could be a wood-destroying organism, including subterranean termites, drywood termites, and wood-decaying fungi underneath his crawl space that was just damaging his wood, and he had a lot of floor joists that were actually damaged. So apart from the cost of having to eradicate the insect issues and the wood decay issues, he's going to have to spend money on repairs as well. So I don't know what that's going to run.
Oh, come on. If he just would have had the inspection,
Well, what the funny thing is, Rob, he did have the inspection, and my hat has to go off to Mike because Mike knew enough to make sure the guy was well informed.
Listen to the inspector, right?
You can only go so far. I mean, you know.
Well, his call to me was, Lou, your home inspector was here, and he advised it, and I said I decided to take a gamble, and I lost. And that was exactly his words. And it's unfortunate that he lost.
Well, it's nice that he can afford a $4,000 loss. All right, let's go to Howard. Howard calling from Florida. That's good to know. Howard, what's going on?
Hey, good afternoon. I'm driving down to Orlando from Jacksonville, and I wanted to have a question concerning what occurs when you have a home inspection and the seller knows something but doesn't disclose it, and the home inspector misses it, maybe because it's not, clearly evidence, such as some of these, water damage or termite damage that's behind this hardy board that you really can't get with a moisture meter anymore. Where do those type of, hidden, those hidden things that the seller knows, but the buyer doesn't know, and the home inspector misses? So how do you handle those?
Well, the way I would handle that really is if you look at the home inspector's report, make sure, first of all, that he did, in fact, not make a mention of some area that he had a concern with. And if he, in fact, did not list something in the report that listed a concern and the seller didn't disclose anything, you have to understand that in the process of inspection, the inspections that everyone does, whether it's a home inspector, a termite inspector, a mold inspector, what have you, is non-invasive and visual because they don't own that property. So even if they knew that there could be something behind there, but there was no physical or visual evidence there wouldn't be a reportable item. I don't know that there's anything you can do. Now, as far as the seller's disclosure goes and the seller not disclosing something, that probably would be a question for an attorney or someone in the legal field.
And let me add to that, Paul. In addition to that, regarding termites, our first and foremost objective is to look for evidence because you don't normally see termites at work with their hammers and screwdrivers and all the other equipment that they use to destroy wood. But it's very possible that sometimes sellers misconstrue or misunderstand termite service agreements or services that they're receiving. Sometimes they might think that there's a pest control program there and thinking it includes termites. So sometimes they'll say, yes, we do have something to do with termites, or we have something to protect us against termites. In reality, it's just pest control. But certainly if the seller is aware of it, and when we do an inspection, once we reveal an issue, and let's say that deal does not go through, going forward, that seller now has knowledge of that termite issue based on a report that we provide for them. And going forward, they would then have to provide that information or disclose that information on the disclosure form going forward.
And he was saying that that if the seller knew and didn't disclose it,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that was
What can be done, yeah.
what could be done at that point. I don't think if there wasn't any evidence of it, like a lot of times you get sellers that will, a lot of these flip homes, they paint everything up and it's impossible sometimes to see evidence. You could do the best you can, you know where to look, but sometimes there's just no evidence there.
That's correct.
Okay, let me ask you this: how do you handle it when somebody is looking to buy a foreclosure? Does the bank have any obligation to tell the potential buying field anything about that house, or is that almost a mandatory hire your own inspector and have them look at it? And what's the timeline on that? If you're about to bid on a property, do you call you guys first? And if I'm just going to bid on the property, how do you get access to it?
There's a lot of that. The banks they're all over the map with that. The first thing with the banks that we've learned, I think, is hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil type of thing. They know nothing. They'll give you, some cases they'll want, before you make an offer for you to do an inspection. Other cases they'll give you a window, 3, 5, 7, maybe 10 days at the most to do an inspection. But you should do an inspection, in my opinion, and I think that you guys would concur, in any bank-owned property, foreclosure, or even for that matter, flip property, because you've got to be able to understand what the history is, how old's the roof, what's the air conditioning equipment, plumbing, what's in there. Not only that, but also a public record search so that you can understand maybe what avenue was taken in the renovation process.
To answer your specific question, there is generally no disclosure statements when it comes to a bank-owned property because they have no history. And that's one of the very first questions that I ask when I do an inspection. Is there a disclosure statement to reveal any information or any history regarding termites? And so there is no history under those circumstances, particularly a foreclosure or a redone house by an investor. I would look at that house very closely, and I would never go forward unless I had a home inspection and a termite inspection done to clear it out.
Okay, and when we come back, let's say you're a buyer or a seller. What are some of the things that by law have to be disclosed? And what are some of the things that are often not disclosed that you need to be looking for or asking about or find in an inspection? That and more, your questions, you could text us at 21232. That's 21232. Or you could call our panel. What an informative group of professional guys, all specialists in their fields. 855-297-9696. 855-297-9696. We will be back. This is the Andrey Bustamante Real Estate Show, brought to you by GuaranteedSale.com. I'm going to give you contact information on each one of these companies when we get back right here on News 96.5. Six minutes before news, traffic, and weather from our 24-hour newsroom. Want to remind you, the only all-news morning show starts in the morning, 5 o'clock, with our friend Joe Kelly and a team of people throughout the world and right here in Orlando to get you not only the news, but our triple team traffic and Severe Weather Center 9. How many more days of this great weather are we going to have before we get a little rain in here? Is it time to turn on those sprinklers yet? Well, we'll find out all that in the morning on your ride to work. They'll get you to work on time with traffic updates every few minutes coming up on the All News Morning Show on News 96.5. All right, we're taking your calls right now. If you want to talk to one of these great inspectors and some of these people that can assure that the home that you're buying or selling helps you get better sleep at night, if you can put your head on the pillow and go, you know what? I'm making a good buy here, and I've got an inspection to prove it. 855-297-9696 or 21232. You can text us at 21232. We don't have any calls or any text right now. So if you have a question about termites, you have a question about damages in Florida, about safeguards in Florida, things to look for in Florida that you didn't have to look for in Missouri or Iowa, Nebraska, or Michigan, well, go ahead and give us a call at 855-297-9696. This is the Andrey Bustamante Real Estate Show, brought to you by GuaranteedSale.com. Drop into that website today. You will be amazed. GuaranteedSale.com. Andre, during the week or weekends, 888-785-0440, 888-785-0440. And you can also visit Andrey Bustamante. That's Andre with a Y, Bustamante.com. All right, what are some of the things that people need to make sure if they're out to hire some inspector that inspector is going to look at? How about it, Paul?
Well, if you're looking to bring an inspector into the mix if you're buying a property, for example, some of the things that you've got to really be aware of is a lot of what the inspector is looking for is also what your insurance company is looking for. So I would say electrical is probably a priority, wouldn't you, Mike? I mean, electrical stuff is stuff that really is important, not just to you, because the potential for fire and problems if something's overlooked, but also when you go to get insurance, your insurance company with some brand of panels and with some types of wiring could give you a hard time.
One of the many problems that a home buyer faces is coordinating the home inspection, getting that insurance. Electrical is definitely one of the top four. Air conditioning is another major concern. The air conditioning manufacturers encode their manufacturing data on the unit, and only a licensed professional knows how to read those codes. Paul, myself, and Lou Cortez from Safeguard Pest Control, we learned how to read those codes. So you think you might be looking at a brand new system, and it may not be brand new. And homeowners insurance is a major concern we help our clients with.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that? Mike mentioned it. I didn't even think of that. I should have thought of that. But the labels on the air conditioning units, I've done probably a dozen homes in the last 7 or 8 years where I've seen this. You look on the unit and you got a ream condenser outside, right? And it's got a manufacturer's label of 2010. You go inside, the air handler is the same. But when you open it up and you look at the coil has been changed out with an older coil.
Ouch.
So and this is not something that's that uncommon. On the surface, it looks brand new. You open it. I had Lou meet me at one property. There was one that was completely refurbished coil only. It looked like a brand new unit on the outside, but it certainly was not one. So you would want to know that because you would expect the air conditioning unit to last, 12, 14, 15 years. Here you move into a home about a year later, you're going to have some problems.
On the last show, we had a call about somebody that called and said, wow, I bought a house and later found out that the room addition was built without any type of licensing or permitting from the local constabulary. What happens then?
There's no way for an inspector like Mike and myself or Lou when we go out there to understand what year something was done. I mean, and that's the biggest and most important reason why people should go through the permitting process. Contractors are obligated to do that. They don't always do that. But if they do that, you can pull public record and you can see what code it should be complied to, and it would have been signed off by the county, and you have proof of verifiable proof of compliance at that point. Without it, you could see a bunch of defects, and you just don't know. You're not doing a code inspection, but you just don't know what was done by the book, what wasn't done by the book. You just know it was wrong. And without a year to go by, you have no idea what the standards would have been.
Okay, let's go to Nico in Winter Haven. Now, Nico, we may have to hold you through the break, but let's get your question established for our panel and for our audience. Thanks for joining the show, Nico. Go ahead.
My question is, my fiance and I were about to buy a house for the first time together. We're both first-time home buyers, and we're going to get finance through our bank. I just wanted to ask, the bank is telling us to get finance through them and not by the big companies like Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae, to do an in-house loan. I was wondering if that's the best way to go or if we should check with the bigger companies also.
Well, our advice to you is you should definitely shop around. If you don't know which bank is best for you, maybe we need to find out what type of loan are you getting. Are you getting a conventional loan? Are you going to be getting a 203K, which is an FHA product for rehabilitation? And you should really confer with your licensed realtor. Have you chosen a realtor yet?
Yes, I have. And I've known her for many years, and I trust her. So
I think you've answered the question. You need to speak with your realtor, and you can call our number. Paul, do you have our number? We could schedule that home inspection for you this week.
321-228-3848, Mike.
All right, very good. We're going to come back with additional information on how to find these guys during the week and what they specialize in, each one of them, when we come back on the Andrey Bustamante Real Estate Show, brought to you by GuaranteedSale.com. We're asking the experts all day long right here on News 96.5. Hey, Welcome back to the show. Here we are. It's the Andrey Bustamante Real Estate Show, brought to you by GuaranteedSale.com. Go ahead and get out your smart device and go to GuaranteedSale.com. You're going to see some really cool stuff on there. And while you're surfing the net today, AndreyBustamante.com. Andrey with a Y, Bustamante.com. Give you a lot of information about how they market your home professionally and have an entire team of professionals to help you get the job done right, whether you're buying or selling. 888-785-0440 is the office number. If you want to call and chime in on the show, you got a question about buying or selling a home, inspections, problems in Florida, 855-297-9696, 855-297-9696, or text us at 21232. Let's go back to something that we glazed by very quickly, and then I'm going to ask you guys about this 203K business. But first of all, let's get back to the thing we talked about briefly before the break, and that is, I have a concrete home. I'm buying a concrete home. There's all that concrete block. Why do I worry about a termite inspection? Gentlemen, I'm cutting you loose.
Let's just put it this way. Unless you have interior concrete walls and your roof is a solid concrete structure and there's no wood in the house, then the answer to your question is, yeah, don't worry about it. But unfortunately, the way it works is concrete block walls are only certain height, and interior walls are all wood frame usually. Truss is wood frame. And Lou will be glad to tell you, I mean, there are things you find interior sections of the house and in the attic, termite damage that Mike has found, I have found, Lou has found. There's really no reason not to do a termite inspection, even if the home is newer. I'll tell you why. Because sometimes the pre-treat is either not effective or wasn't done. And if that's the case, especially with an addition, that's what you run into.
Let me ask you that. Are there certain kinds of loans that do not require a termite inspection in Florida?
The only loan that requires a mandatory WDO inspection is a VA-backed mortgage.
Is that right?
That's correct. It used to be FHA required it and USDA required it, but they relaxed those requirements a few years ago.
That's crazy.
Absolutely crazy. And same thing with the banks and the mortgage companies. They're basically lending out money to what potentially could be a disaster going forward. But there's a misrepresentation or a misunderstanding when people think about a WDO. They think about a termite inspection only. But when we're doing a WDO, we're doing it also for drywood termites, powder post beetles. There are beetles that will infest a home in wood that's less than 10 years old. The all-house borer is usually, and it's kind of a misnomer, but the all-house borer can actually infest the wood, and they're usually found in wood that's less than 10 years old. But we're also looking for wood decay. That's a major factor. And wood decay can develop in a brand new home. If the roof is left open and it was raining and they closed it up and it wasn't properly dried, you can go in the attic in a home that's 6 months old and find all kinds of wood decay up there. So when somebody says that, well, I don't think I need it, the house is too new, or I'm just looking for termites, or there is an existing warranty on the house, we find termites on existing warranties. We also find wood decaying fungi, which is not under a bond or a termite warranty, as well as drywood termites. So very important to have it done.
Yeah, and you can also find that stuff, by the way, the wood decay fungi with roof leaks and things like that. But one thing that I wanted to say, because I know you're going to get into the 203K thing, is we have done plenty of homes where you have not just powder post beetles, subterranean termites, evidence of drywood termites, but you also have a house. It's built in the 70s. It's got aluminum wiring. It was repiped with polybutylene. It's got Federal Pacific and Zinsco electrical panels. It's got additions that weren't permitted. And it's going to be a ton of money for anybody to even move on this property. And that's where someone who specializes in 203K like Mike comes in, because you don't lose hope with a property like that. There are programs in place like 203K that will help you. You want to explain that a little bit?
The 203K FHA-backed mortgage is one of those fantastic products that's been around for about 40 years. Many realtors come across that one property that no one could sell, and the answer to that problem is 203K. One of the great gifts that Andrey brings to the table as his member of his team is that he uses the 203K in his marketing program. The 203K, in a very short version, is when you have that very old house that everything is wrong. You speak with your loan officer who does the 203K, and you can now finance all the repairs into the cost of the mortgage, and you win. The neighbors win. Everyone wins. It's a win-win-win situation.
So does the bank require a home inspection if you're looking to get the 203K?
Under the 203K program, you can only use a federally certified building consultant. And you can go to the HUD website and you can put in, say, the city of Orlando, or if you live in Tampa, and you can find all the HUD certified 203K building consultants. I happen to be one, and yes, I'm on that list. I have my number from the federal government that gives me a separate identifier as a licensed home inspector.
Okay. Let me ask you a question on that. Where do we draw the line on the 203K? Is it just bringing the home up to current standards? Or if I see a home and I say, well, it's got the old Formica countertops and that kind of thing, I'd really like to have granite, and I'd like to ceramic tile the floors. It would make the house more valuable. Does any of that qualify for a 203K?
All of that information, yes, it qualifies. When we go in and do a 203K product, many times we look at the mandatory minimum requirements: plumbing, roof, air conditioning, electrical, mold, termites. Then we can start working on some of the recommended or desired repairs, like granite. We could have all new kitchen appliances. We could remodel that bathroom that your neighbors will envy. That's part of the 203K program.
So rather than buy a home and 8 months down the road take a second against it and have two loans, you can actually get it all rolled into your first primary mortgage.
Yes, or rather than come out of your own pocket. Now, one of the blessings under the 203K program is you could have that extra addition put in. If you're looking for a Florida room, or you're looking to expand that teeny tiny little bathroom into this monstrous, cavernous, wonderful place you're going to spend your long, hot showers in. We can do that in a 203K.
Why don't more people take advantage of that? Do they just not know about it?
They just don't know about it, and part of it has to do with not having a trained real estate professional. And that's where we bring Andrey back in with, as a member of his team, he brings all of this to the table. And these are the doors that he can open for you in your marketplace.
You know, once again, I truly pick out the fact that you guys live here, have seen the problems, have seen the roof problems, have seen the cosmetic changes somebody might make to sell something quick, to get out from under it. And really, the person moving here, how can I put this? They're so wide-eyed. They're so Disney-eyed that, we're going to live within a half hour of the major parks. We're an hour away from Port Canaveral to catch a cruise ship. We can run to Daytona and New Smyrna Beach. It's all great, and that home, it's just perfect. They're seeing it as a dream instead of an asset, the way I opened the program, right?
They are. And it's kind of funny you say that, because I had some people that were moving down from Pennsylvania, and they had never really been to Florida before. They just knew that it was a place that they wanted to live at. They loved the parks and what have you. But they met me for the inspection. We were doing the inspection, and some people have no idea how large insects can get here. So we were sitting in the living room just going over some of the results of the inspection. And I mean, there was like 3 of those palmetto bugs, those cockroaches. And they were like, I mean, you can't see me right now, but they were probably about maybe 2 or 3 inches. I mean, they were huge. And the expression on their face, I'll never forget it. It was it's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
We're able to provide customized saddles for those guys, by the way.
Customized saddles. Let me ask you this, panel, and that is, when you were talking about things that people discover, we bought a house in Mount Dora. My former wife and myself bought a house in the 90s in Mount Dora. And we didn't have the benefit of smart guys like you on our team. We did not get an inspection. That's why I love doing the show with you guys, because boy, did we get burnt. We owned the house about 2 weeks before one of the neighbors came over and he said, "You didn't get the siding replaced, bub." And I said, "What do you mean get the siding replaced? It's beautiful. Look at that. It's really cool. Man, they tell me that'll hold up to anything." No. Look behind that bush that guy put right there for a reason. Custom built home, right? It was the siding that was part of an international lawsuit. Nobody told me that. And that stuff was crumbling within a year, just falling off the house.
You know, it's funny.
Cost me a darn fortune to side that house.
It's expensive to do the siding over, but in a lot of the homes that were built in the 90s, they didn't use the gable subwall material. So a lot of those homes, the only thing between your attic and the outside is that siding. And if you're not aware of it, I mean, it's pretty. That was something on our house that we live in now. We had to redo everything, but we moved from New York, so I was not aware of that material either, and I was not aware that the building codes were so lenient here.
Well, and
what you can do.
And tell me whether I'm right or wrong. Had I have contacted some inspectors that have the longevity in the business and the seniority in the business you guys have and the quality rep you've got, you might have seen not only the siding and tell me that was a problem, but you might have known the reputation of the builder, because they were running hot and heavy in the 80s and 90s through Florida. I mean, they were, and a lot of them were carpetbaggers. I couldn't find this guy after the house was finished. He was
not
gone.
That uncommon. But yeah, if you would have brought any one of us, what's cool about our team is that any one of us would peg that. Even if Lou went there ahead of us, Lou would have pegged that.
There is a certain consistency in a quality of builders sometimes that we recognize if we see it's a certain type of house or a certain type of builder. Not to suggest that some of the builders are not, but you're right. Some of those builders that would come in from out of town and build some homes and then leave the next day after the building is complete, that is a problem. Paul, you wanted to mention, or Mike can mention the importance and the significance of doing a home inspection as it relates to insurance. Sometimes the homeowner's insurance, sometimes the homeowner's insurance company will not look at homes or will not insure homes with certain issues, right?
Yeah, that's something that we have really, Mike and I have taken our team to the next level, because we're very well informed as far as what the insurance companies are looking at, they're looking for. When we do our home inspection, we have trained everybody to make sure they collect all the information necessary to do insurance inspections, inform the client of some of the problems that might be there, and be prepared to generate additional inspection reports without having to revisit the property. So we collect all the data, not just do the home inspection. You may not know we're collecting all this information, but it will be on file at our office so that when your insurance company asks for it, you don't have to say, I wonder if he did that. Because it will be done.
Let me ask you guys this, and then we're going to take a break in about 2 minutes. But how often does it occur that the buyer will say, well, the homeowner told me that those are hurricane-proof shutters, and the owner told me that that is a brand-new roof, and the owner told me that this is all XYZ appliances, SEER-rated? How many times have you had to take them aside and say, "No, look, here's what we found"?
We have to do that discreetly. Lou and I have been in that situation. Mike has been in that situation. But let me if the homeowner is telling you that you should be, that, hey, I took care of this, like I had brand new pipes put in, right? I had this happen about a month ago. True story. New pipes, new plumbing, wasn't permitted, but everything was new. They ran the hot water loop backwards, so the toilets were getting hot water in both bathrooms. And the homeowner was at the inspection, and so was the buyer. And the homeowner was bragging about the repipe. So I didn't mention it to him while he was there. Hey, bud, you got hot water going to your toilet. Somebody screwed up. But when he left, I brought it to the attention of the buyer. I said, listen, we need to get our plumber in here, someone qualified to be able to fix this, because this gentleman whoever did it wrong.
All right, very good. Karen in Davenport is standing by. We're going to get to you. And here's the text. Now, this text says it all. I am regretting that I did not have inspection done on my condo before I signed a death warrant of being too anxious. I am having major problems. That's a text from 1732. All right, we're going to come back with more, and we're going to get, we're going to get with Karen's question when we come back, right here, and your questions too. Call us, 855-297-9696, or you could also text us at 21232. It's the Andrey Bustamante Real Estate Show, brought to you by GuaranteedSale.com. Get a pencil and paper when we come back, right after Karen's call. Before we do anything else, we're going to get phone numbers, websites, and the company names of these companies that are here today on the team. We'll be back after 3 big things you need to know. Hey, we're back. This is the Andrey Bustamante Real Estate Show, brought to you by GuaranteedSale.com. Visit that website today. You're going to be amazed. GuaranteedSale.com. And another website you can look up is Andrey, with a Y, Bustamante.com. You'll see how Andrey Bustamante and his team market your home as a product, right up there against the big guys, because that's what you're up against. You're up against a big builder. You're up against all those other homes that are out there, and you need to compete with them. And you do a lot more than just put a sign in your front yard and get that MLS listing. That don't cut it anymore. You got to market that thing right up there with the big guys. All right, Karen in Davenport, how can our team help you today? Go ahead.
I wanted to ask two questions. The two questions are this. The first one is a licensed general contractor. What does he usually charge for his services?
That's a good question, but to answer that probably accurately would be difficult. Different general contractors, even for the same project, can range in price quite significantly. Do you have a specific project that you need to have done that might help hone us in a little bit?
Well, we're purchasing a home that needs some electrical work. It needs plumbing work. It needs a section of the house where the roof had leaked and it's damaged. The first inspector gave us this information that should be taken care of. And we really never asked him how much he's charging. And he called us and told us that he could not do the repairs for the price of the money that we're lending through the bank, and we got very upset from it. And I was just wondering if you could give me a general idea of how much money is he getting?
That I can't help you with. I'd be happy to try and point you in a different direction off the air, maybe elaborate a little more. I don't think we have enough time on this segment for us to answer this fully.
Second, can I ask you the second question?
Sure.
Do we have to use the people that he recommends, or are we allowed to use like Lowe's people and Home Depot people for the installations of the things we need? We need windows replaced, and we need doors replaced outside.
Without knowing the full story, I'm not 100% sure, but I can't imagine there being any reason in the world why you wouldn't have the ability to choose your own contractor.
Oh, okay. Could I stay on the line and someone could give me a number that I could call you personally?
Sure. As a matter of fact, is it okay if we give out our contact?
Yeah, we're ready to do that right now, so let's go ahead. Audience at home, get ready to write all these numbers down. Each company is going to identify themselves, who the contact would be, and a little bit about their company, hours, days they work, availability, what territory they cover, and, of course, websites and phone numbers. So let's start off with Paul.
You can always reach me at www.pjm-inc.com or at 321-228-3848. Our hours of operation are pretty wide range, so don't worry about when you call. If we get a message from you, we certainly will call you back. You can always reach our whole team pretty much through me, or you can call them independently. Mike?
If you have any questions involving the 203K program, you can reach me at 407-902-6982. Or again, you can contact me through Paul at his website. We accept text messages, emails. We're working on maybe one day getting Twitter, but right now we're still keeping it simple.
And you can reach me, Lou Cortez, at Safeguard Environmental Care. My number is 407-702-5673. And you can also contact me by way of website at pestcontrolcompanyorlando.com. Again, that's pestcontrolcompanyorlando.com. And my operating hours are 24/7. The only time I don't answer my phone is between 3 and 3:05 a.m. in the morning.
Okay. Hey, I want to get back to this environmental services thing. One of the things that Florida, that could happen not only in Florida but anywhere else, I guess, and that is not only pest intrusion, but squirrels and rats, because we don't have an off season here. We don't have a winter. And but when it does get cool, those things are looking for some place to get warm. And in my particular case, I have a crawl space. And in my crawl space, all of a sudden, there were vermins under there. And like Robert Vincent Sims says on his show, we had issues.
Yep. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, in the course of the inspections, we'll often find evidence of animals, whether it be squirrels or rats or other types of animals that get into an attic or perhaps even a crawl space. And that's something that we reveal to the customer. It's not part of the WDO, and it isn't something that goes on a WDO report, but it's certainly information that we provide the client as well as the home inspectors. If they find any evidence of that, they certainly will include that in their report, so that at least the homeowner or the potential homeowner has that information to take care of.
Who would have caught it? I had a dryer vent that wasn't closing, and when I bought my house, we were unaware of that. And all of a sudden the dryer wouldn't work. Well, it wouldn't work because a snake came in through the dryer vent and got inside the dryer and turned the dryer on one day, and it was in the motor. So that kind of stopped that and made one whale of a mess. So, who would see stuff like that?
I found a baby rattler 2 days ago in a home. It was sitting in a garage on a 2x4 just above the garage frame. Amazing. It was a scary situation.
Yeah, they do climb.
My favorite vermin story is when I was with Lou one day, and we were in a house, and we were with the buyer, and we heard some little feeties above us in the attic. And I went upstairs, and we found this adorable raccoon. And he just was so playful.
Yeah, beautiful eyes, too.
There you go, and I'm sure there's been a lot of that. If you hear something in your attic, you might want to get these guys to come out and take a look at it, because they could bite into wires, or they could also. The biggest thing is, we heard from the AC guys this morning, they start screwing up your ductwork, and then your bills are going up.
And they have a tendency they don't know how to use the bathroom, so they just do it in the attic.
Well, that's a great thing. There you go. There's some bacterial hazards right there. Okay, one more time. Phone numbers real quick around the board.
You can reach PJM Inc. at 321-228-3848. Website pjm-inc.com.
And if you're interested in the FHA 203K mortgage as a building consultant, you can reach me at 407-902-6982, and I am Mike.
Paul.
And Lou from Safeguard, 407-702-5673, and that's Pest Control CompanyOrlando.com.
All right, Andrey Bustamante, 888-785-0440, AndreyBustamante.com. The show brought to you by GuaranteedSale.com. Thank you, guys, for all the great information. You're going to help people in the buying and selling process. We'll be back next week. Coming up next, it's the BCN Law Firm and Law 2020.